Hello and welcome to the show. This is the Gaming Podcast Live, the official gaming podcast, the official podcast of Gaming Magazine. My name's Robin. I'm the founder of Gaming Magazine, and I'm joined by the wonderful Megabyte as my fabulous co-host. Apart
That's
from
me.
hot,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm sweltering. I am hating everything. I took about 3 showers already today. Cold showers. I don't know I don't know what's going on. That's just going on.
I know, it's crazy.
Hot.
It's crazy for everyone out there. The UK, where we both currently reside, is going through a heat wave. It's about 30 odd degrees, 90 odd degrees in American temperature money. And we don't have AC because we're a country that doesn't need AC, apparently, because we're stiff upper British lip, etc. And yeah, so today has been a day of hugging a fan and drinking lots of ice cold drinks.
Apologies in advance for audio listeners if you can hear like fans or anything in the background. It's pretty much needed.
Yes,
we can't handle this kind of heat because we're British.
Absolutely. And normally I am quite professional, which is I'm sure it's hard to believe for some people, but I am quite professional, and I normally have my window closed. But tonight my window will be open.
Well, anything could happen.
Anything could literally happen.
Anything at all.
Mainly the neighbors, but whatever the neighbors are doing could literally happen. So let this excitement percolate around the podcast for a moment about what's coming. What's coming up.
Yeah. I do want to say, as per usual, just to keep reminding you, those who are here joining us live, since it's a live podcast, you can interact with us here in Twitch chat, or you can head on over to gamingmag.com/discord and chat away in the Discord over there. Popping in and talk to us. Give us your takes on things like video games in general, the gay world of video games.
Anything queer and geeky, we are there for you. Now, this July, Twitch are celebrating talk shows and podcasts, and we're very honored to be part of that featured lineup. We are on the homepage, the front page tonight. Isn't this exciting? As part of this month, we're changing on the podcast. We're changing things up a bit, and for the video watchers, the live stream watchers, there'll be 2 90-second ad breaks in the show. This not only helps support our channel, but it also means that anyone coming into the show doesn't have to sit through 30 seconds of pre-roll ads. They can just jump straight in and see all of our pretty faces and listen to the stuff we're talking about. I nearly said a swear word at that point. I've been told by Twitch on the front page I have to keep my language.
But we can't.
I have to keep my language fresh.
It's the bad time to swear on front page. But, yeah, if you want to, the best thing that you can do right now, you can just support us by being here. Or if you want to avoid those advertisements, you can totally hit the sub button and subscribe to the stream. That's a whole thing you can do.
Absolutely.
Now, it's DIGIPRIDE at the moment. I don't know if you knew this.
Is.
I don't know if you all knew this. We've pretty much been DIGIPRIDE for a while now, since June. You can go over to gamingmag.com/DIGIPRIDE to check out all of the things that are going on with DIGIPRIDE. But right now, because it is a DIGIPRIDE special podcast, we have not one, but 2 super special guests today. And our first guest is all the way from the lovely makers of Fall Guys, Mediatonic. It's Tork Shaw.
Hey, Tork.
Oh, wait, that's me. Hello. Hi.
It is. Welcome to the show.
That is you. Hello. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm sweating like some kind of machine built for that purpose, but otherwise I am fine.
Yes, a fellow Brit resident of no air conditioning.
I have a tiny fan.
British resident of hell.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the recent discovery of a tiny fan in your loft, though, seems to have been a game changer.
I wish it were. I could just making a noise right now, but
wait, is that the fan behind you? Sorry.
Let's not start off the podcast of a size queen over fans.
It
doesn't even look like a fan. It looks like the smallest AC unit I've ever seen.
Well, I think you're supposed to put water in it, but I tried putting water in it. I just came out again.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not sure about putting...
It's not a fan and not like a pump for an aquarium.
I thought it was like a thing where you put water in it, and for some reason, something about physics makes that cooler. But
I think it might be ice, I'll be honest.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that was my mistake. But all I've actually done is soak this table because it just came out right away.
Well, at least you've cooled down the table sufficiently.
Well, there you go. Cool. And I avoided an electric shock as well, so that's
also a good thing about tipping water into an electric device. The table thanks you for your work of keeping it cool. So welcome to the podcast. Mediatonic are one of our fabulous sponsors of DigiPride. What is it? Tell us all, what is it you do at Mediatonic?
I was originally hired at Mediatonic to do what we were doing was trying to develop sort of new concepts, new ideas within the studio, come up with new games and what have you, and then develop those and pitch those to potential partners and publishers and what have you. And I'm still doing a wee bit of that in the background, but since the sort of runaway success or stumble away success, I should say, of Fall Guys, I am now also working quite a lot on the Fall Guys team. At the moment, my role is mostly involved with creating the lore for the world, for the Fall Guys world. And then
Fall Guys, that sounds quite interesting. Tell us about that.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Are you partially responsible for that horrifying internal image of the bean that I saw on social media with the skeleton inside?
So I was not yet working on the team at that point.
Okay,
I feel
Is
like
that part of the lore? Is that official? Is that officially part of the lore?
I think it's not canon. I feel like the team had uncannoned it almost immediately because of the terror and the horror of the object itself. I mean, there are some bits and pieces to work with. It's a super interesting role. It's a really interesting part of the game, obviously, that doesn't exist in a big way right now. But the community have been pretty active in terms of sort of putting together lore, and there seems to be an interest in that side of things. And for me as a designer, it's super interesting to provide a kind of like another axis for engagement, really, for people who are excited about that kind of thing, that part of the game. It's something else to get excited about and get involved in. And what I'm keen to do is to make this process a kind of sort of community inclusive process. So I think that in some live services games, there can be a bit of a sense that the lore is something that's being done to the players. Like it's just sort of happening there in the background. The world is progressing without you. Sometimes you get to be a wee bit involved here and there, but I'm super keen that we can have more player and community involvement in some of the choices that I made as part of the lore development process, and they can make changes to the world and be involved in that process along the way. So we'll see how that pans out. I've been on the team, I think, about 3.5 months. So my first few bits and pieces will be appearing in this next season, sort of coming up in this next season. So that really is, I suppose, in some ways, the beginning of the official lore. It'll sort of be trickling out on the social medias, and there's a wee bit of stuff in game, but we'll be working up more and more of that as the seasons progress.
I'm really curious because, and I'm not after any kind of like spoilers at this point, because I know you would literally be sort of you'd be yeeted in a heartbeat. But from a game that's inherently a load of beans running across a bridge trying to dodge and dive and survive, how do you build lore into that? Is it the backstory of each particular bean? Is it the setting they're in? Is it the world they're in? Or
yes, is the answer. I mean, it's all of that, really. The first sort of bit for me really was thinking about how the world works and why they're doing what they're doing and what it is that they're involved in. And then sort of from that, I wanted to try and understand what might be the kind of central conflicts in that space, because it's not really, it's a very, it's an E-rated game. Like it's challenging to find your traditional video game conflict. There's a bit of player-to-player conflict, but really actually the community are great about supporting each other. And I kind of wanted that vibe to come through too, as we develop the lore and the setup for the world. So it's about framing what the beans are doing, why they're doing it, who some of the beans are. And then later on, it starts to inform some of the choices we make about gameplay, about places that the beans might go, about settings that they might be in. And then sort of conversely, we want to try and work a lot of the kind of gameplay and the way that the community used the product, as it were, back into the lore. So there are some bits and pieces that are related to things that have happened with the community during the life of the game, and some of the stuff that they've talked about in terms of what they believe the lore to be. And then just trying to sort of fold in the kind of cooperative, chaotic vibe that there is for that game, even though it is technically a kind of PvP environment.
Excellent. I mean, I'm really excited to see how that develops. I really am. It's an amazing game, and I think to sort of see how that then grows and sort of the world of Fall Guys kind of keeps expanding is really, really exciting. Tell me about your journey sort of through the industry. I know you've been through a few studios and it sort of started off in different ways, but what's been sort of your journey to where you are today?
So it's not madly exciting, I guess. I started as a design intern at a company in Greece, and then I went back to work for them as a designer. And then following that, my very first piece of work, sort of my very first paid piece of game design work, was for the Pathfinder role-playing game. It was for a book. I think it was a book about, I think the piece I was writing was about a kind of abominable snowman type creature. Anyway, that was my very first piece of sort of game design work. And then after working for this company in Greece for a while, I moved on to working for Paizo on their MMO in Seattle for a while. And then following on from that, I ended up with Amazon Games, working on a number of cancelled titles, a stream of cancelled titles, as you might imagine.
I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why at all.
Yeah. I mean, it was a huge amount. It was a really fun time, for me, and it was a really interesting opportunity. But yeah, it was kind of chaotic. And what was really fun though was actually doing the Twitch work. There was quite a lot of work I did with and for Twitch at the same time, which was super cool. Like getting involved in that stuff, because I came to Twitch quite late. I am somewhat older, and Twitch was not a thing that was a big part of my life until I. There you go. See, it took a bit of learning. Like, it's super interesting. It's a really interesting
Tell
space,
me about it.
And there's so much momentum in that space that I think it's a really fun thing to be a part of and involved with. But there was a lot of learning to be done, and I think for Twitch too. Like, I mean, for Twitch as an organization, there's still quite a lot of learning to be done in terms of what happens at this scale and who their audience is now and what's happening with their audience, and then perhaps even more so, what happens when you get gobbled up by a giant corporation. Like, what does that mean for your brand? What does it mean for your communities and what have you? And so that was a really interesting space to work in for a while, and I learned a lot about working for a giant corporation. And then for one reason or another, I decided not to do that anymore, and I'm now working for Mediatonic,
which is owned by an even gianter corporation,
which just got swallowed by.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Speaking of Mediatonic in general, I know that there is some fabulous work that's being done by the internal LGBTQ group over at Mediatonic. Are you looking forward to getting back involved with that when everything inevitably opens back up again here in the UK?
I am. It's actually super interesting to me, again, for reasons of being perhaps slightly older than many of the designers on that team or the other folks on the Mediatonic team. It's really interesting being involved with their conversations and discussions, because like I've been involved in sort of the queer scene for a long time. My first job ever, really, or first grown-up job, was working in a gay bar in Glasgow, and I've been running parties and clubs and what have you, and bits and pieces on the scene since then. But it's super interesting sort of seeing the conversations they're having now. Like, it's just a completely different kind of environment, and it's great. It's so energizing and exciting to see that sort of progress, really. Like, it's just a completely different world, I think, for queer people now than it was when I was a wee one, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm excited about getting involved with that group, and I think the group will absolutely be led by that group rather than I'm happy to lend any experience sort of doing events and what have you that they need, but I really feel like they have a finger much more on the pulse than I do. And it's so, there's like a bunch of Slack channels, and it's just really nice to get randomly pinged throughout the day with some random queer nonsense, like on the side of the work that you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, to feel like that's a thing that's happening over there in the background the whole time. Okay. There's actually, now that I think about it, there's an Epic one too. Epic have their own society. I think it's called Epic Mega Gays, and that also is more.
That's an amazing name. I love that name.
It's kind of great. It's so like I don't know, almost aggressive. Like, it's kind of genius. And that's sort of ticking over there too. I'm on that Slack too, and I see that pinging over and ticking over, and it's just really fun to be able to have those conversations and discussions, while you're in the middle of work, rather than ordinarily you'd have sort of your group of queer friends who you would chat with out of work, kind of thing, and you didn't really bring it into the workplace in the same way. But it's just part of being alive now. Do you know what I mean? In a way that I think is really interesting and inspiring.
It's so gratifying to hear and inspiring to hear that, like, not just yourselves, but like a bunch of different like game industry developers and publishers, and now like have these internal groups. It makes me so happy and thinking we're actually moving in the right direction and moving towards positive change for inclusion and the queer community in general. So good to hear.
And even in the product, like, it's super great being able to discuss the products with those groups. Like, it's really interesting to me when I have questions or decisions that we're making about parts of a product or about a new product to get input from a sort of more diverse bunch of voices, really. And you can do it so easily in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like you can just reach out to these people and say, what do you think about this kind of thing? And then you can start folding that into your discussions and your conversations really early on, rather than making, terrible mistakes and having to dig yourself out of a hole at a later date.
Absolutely. And I think that's we've had this conversation time and time again. I mean, it started with Tell Me Why last year, the fantastic game that sort of came out around sort of the trans male protagonist story. The whole idea with that was the Don't Nod engaged with their trans workers. They had people on the team that they could just sense check stuff with, and it really showed. And I think more and more studios having these groups is just a fantastic way, not only of obviously supporting staff with their personal life, but you've got people on tap. Literally, just as you say, throw a thing into a private sort of Slack channel. How does this read? Is this the right way of phrasing this? Is this? And just by listening and empowering those staff, I think that's absolutely a fantastic thing. We actually covered Mediatonic's Pride group in, I think it was our second month of running gaming, like 2 years ago, in the before times where people could meet up in person, because the group had just done a casino night in the old studio on the Strand. And I think the best bit about that was the fact that it had been running, the group had been doing events for about 3 or 4 years prior to that story. But it was the first time that they poked their head above the parapet and wanted to actually share that story externally, because they were really concerned about not wanting to be seen to be, what's the phrase? Showing off? No, virtue signaling, by sort of saying, "Oh, look at our gay group." But I sort of said, no, you have to be proud of that as a company. You need to show this. You need to be sort of shouting this sort of stuff from the rooftops that you have a pride group. That to me is a great recruitment thing.
Yeah, I think we're pretty vocal about it now.
I'm glad I had some effect.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think that was probably a very welcome introduction to the world, as a way to, as you say, stick our heads above the parapet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that it's super, like, that kind of visibility is super valuable. Like, it was one of the reasons that I was attracted to working with Mediatonic in the first place. Like, they were a really inclusive and open and increasingly diverse company to work for.
Absolutely. So outside of Mediatonic, you mentioned a little bit about some of your DJ work. What is it you do outside of work?
I mean, nothing right now. I sit here sweating next to my tiny fan. But I did used to run a bunch of parties and clubs and what have you, both in the UK and in the US. I used to have a really fun one that was a video game themed one in Seattle. We did that for a couple of years at the Eagle in Seattle. And I kind of, I would like to maybe do something again, but as you say, once things open up again, I don't know if I'll be able to do like a monthly thing. That was a lot of work. Yeah. But doing the odd bit and piece here and there, I think would be really fun. And then beyond that, I guess role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games is the thing I'm missing most of all in this particular environment.
I feel that. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard. Like, I've done a couple of like online ones, like using Roll20 or just other bits, Google Meets or bits and pieces. But I feel like the technology is not quite there for the experience in a way. And so much of it is just being at the table with your friends. Like it's just being in that space and like faffing about and making the chat and having the snacks and what have you, that you just miss out on when you're sat on your own in front of the computer. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. I think that will be really fun to get back to. And I might even, I don't know, there's actually a bunch of, at Mediatonic, there are a bunch of people who do different campaigns and different settings and different rule sets and what have you. So it'd be really fun to try and get involved with some of those as well once we're allowed to, because we have a special role-playing room at the new office.
Ooh.
Which is kind of amazing. Like, it's a role-playing, I mean, admittedly it's a meeting room, to be clear, like, but it's a role-playing themed meeting room with like brick wall and like sconce torches on the walls and like a big wooden table and dice holders all over the place. It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Great.
Love that.
I need to go get a job at Mediatonic now.
Yeah, come by. Yeah, absolutely. Just knock on the door. Like, I'm sure we'll let you in anyway, to be honest.
Cool. Yeah, I'll just hang out for the D&D sessions. That's all I'll do. Yeah. Great. That's it's been so wonderful getting to talk to you about all of this stuff. about all of your life and your work with Mediatonic. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, I've had a lot of fun. Thanks very much for having me on. I'm looking forward to maybe having a cold shower, but otherwise, I very much enjoyed.
Go and tip some more water in your fan.
Yeah,
I
might just leave it to dry out overnight before I touch it. Actually, now I think about it. I don't want to unplug it until.
No. Kick the plug out. Don't touch it.
This may have to be my last ever appearance anywhere. How exciting!
If you're listening to this in 2 days' time and something's happened, this episode's actually a touching tribute to Tork Shaw.
Perfect.
On that morbid note, Jesus.
Tork, thank you so much for joining us. We'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Oh,
lovely.
Yeah,
we're going to take a short break. For those people that are on the stream and haven't subscribed, we will be back on the other side of this 90-second ad break.
And for you subbies who are watching this right now,
absolutely, well done.
Drink the boba that my sister made for me.
Oh, lovely. Which one is it?
It's tapioca. Very sugary tapioca and milk tea. That's about it.
Fair enough.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking orange squash with ice cubes that didn't just melt, but they kind of, I was going to say another rude word, but they sort of just left. I just put them in the glass with, it's gone now.
This is the content that people sub for, by the way.
Exactly. This is wonderful content. This is behind the scenes of Gaming Magazine.
Let me know.
It's absolutely fantastic to talk to Mediatonic, and for the subs that are still here, we actually have some fantastic competitions running at the moment, and I believe I'm reliably informed that a Mediatonic one is dropping very soon. So keep an eye on gaymag.com/DigiPride, where you can enter where you can find out all the DigiPride news. But if you go to gaymag.com/competitions, you can enter the fabulous competitions that we are currently running. Let me put that on the screen. At present, you can go and get your hands. If you're in the UK and Ireland, you can go and get your hands on an Xbox Series S, along with the Pride controller, which isn't being sold anywhere. Then if you're all around the world, you can enter our Sega competition, which includes, there it is. That's not Sega, obviously, that's Xbox. You can
a bit late on the draw.
Enter a Sega competition, and a sold-out competition is there as well. We are back on the screen. Welcome back, everyone. That was perfect timing. It's almost professional.
Welcome back.
Absolutely.
Almost professional. We'll get there eventually.
Almost. We were just talking, might as well do the same shout out again. There are competitions running at the moment on Gaming Mag. Head over to gaymag.com/competitions to check all of that out. What?
I was just getting ready to hold up the
wonderful. Yes, wonderful. Because if you're in the UK and Ireland, you can get your hands on an Xbox Series S and it's there, and the fantastic Pride controller. If you're not, if you are not in the UK and Ireland and the rest of the world, you can enter our Sega competition, which includes a Steam code that unlocks the entire Sega library. That is 730 odd games that you can go and get your hands on. Every single thing that's published by Sega, Yakuza, and all the above. And there's also a sold-out game knocking around as well, where you can get your hands on a free copy of Kiwi, which is a beautifully cute co-op game, and some merch. So yes, that is very excited.
And
head to gamermag.com/competitions. And yes, it closes on the 30th of August.
Awesome.
So go and do that now. Well, don't do it now. Wait until the end of the podcast, listen to this first, and then go.
I can open a new tab and do it now. I know that we got a lot of new people with us today because obviously we're on the front page of Twitch. If you could all do me a favor and hit that follow button. We are live every 2 weeks, this time on a Sunday. And we'd love to have you hanging out with us. Now, welcome back. Our next guest, our second super special guest, happens to be the fabulous FoxQueen.
Hi.
I still need that applause button. I need a background applause button just to create applause. That's what I need.
I can clap my fan.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Welcome on in. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Not as hot as you guys, thankfully. So, my air was broken for a little bit, so I had that experience.
Oh,
but
really?
it's fixed and all good now.
Lovely for you. I'm delighted.
Yeah, I take it like everybody in the US has AC then, in that case?
Primarily, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Especially where I live. It's kind of like ridiculous for anyone around here not to have it because it's always like in the summertime, it's always like 90 to high 90s, 100 like Fahrenheit. Like it's gross and horribly humid. So it feels even hotter.
Oh,
it's disgusting.
Yeah. Cool. Welcome. So we're going to jump straight into what we call our weekly recaps, which is the stuff that we've all been doing, what we've been playing, and things we've been doing over the past couple of weeks. For the people that were here for the last one, our last episode, I should say, you would be aware of the fact I was utterly enthralled and delighted by the arrival of Mario Golf. I have now completed Mario Golf.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the first time I've completed a game for a long time. No, seriously, it's brilliant. It probably lacks a little bit of content, let's be honest. If you can kind of if you can kind of get through the sort of story mode of a golf competition in about a week or so, you're not being sort of stretched too much. But it is great, and it's got a fantastic sort of feel to it. And then my partner and I actually tried the motion controls last night as well, which were interesting. Yeah. It's not mean? Well, it's still not quite the full sort of fantasy, and it's that moment where you're holding the controller and you're doing the swing, and the controller, the club on the screen just sort of like throws itself up in the air or something because you sneezed, or I don't know. It's a bit confusing. So yeah, I stick to playing on the controllers, but yeah, no, really, really good. Totally recommend it, and that's that beautiful silky smooth high frame rate as well, which is the wonderful thing about Nintendo.
I have a copy. Provided to me by Nintendo. I have yet to give it a look, and I completely forgot that I was going to. So yeah, I'll
get to the sports pool.
Yeah,
it is really good.
Friends that keep talking about really wanted to playing it, so I really need to give it a shot at some point.
It is cool, and even as someone who probably doesn't enjoy too much of the golf sort of side of things, it still has some really cool features. Like, it's not just playing golf. You have different modes like speed golf, where you sort of have to hit the ball down the fairway, and then you actually physically, as the character, have to sort of like run and compete. And it's a bit Mario Kart. You can pick up boosts and traps and that sort of thing, and trying to bash people out the way to get to your ball next, to hit the ball to get to the hole first. And they've got a battle golf, which is like an arena
gameplay, like all of these modes.
I think it does. Yeah, local, and you can play online local co-op, and you can also play online co-op with friends, but I think you can also play it broadly open on the wider internets. So yeah, that's Mario Golf. I opened Sea of Thieves. I was tempted I was tempted by the E3 presentation of Sea of Thieves, so I have downloaded that.
Find Captain Jack.
No, I haven't got that far yet. I did the tutorial and a little bit of knocking around in the sort of main world, and then left because being online just stresses me out.
Fair.
It's not my world.
Yeah, the experience that I've had with that game, we're just full of trolls exploding my ship and stealing all my treasure. So
that's it, exactly, and that's kind of that literally is the thing that always concerns me about live gaming. And I did a load of Googling. It's like, can you play this thing offline? No, you have to have an online connection. And my partner's like, oh, it's just like Monster Hunter World. And it's like, I don't want people in my game. Leave me alone. I want to play pirates on my own. And yeah, you should honestly be able to go around, as somebody just said in the chat. Actually, you should just be able to go around looting and pillaging and picking up sort of piratey stuff and treasure and making poor jokes. And you could just do that, and there's no way of kind of enjoying that in a kind of tight group. I believe you can play as a crew, so you can bring friends into your crew, but you still exist in an online world. So
yeah, there are other people that can load into that instance server, and just I think it's up to probably 20 something people. There's a bunch that can be in there at the same time. But
there are other people there as well. That's the problem. And I think that the issue, as you said, Mia, is the fact that it's the same that happened to me on Grand Theft Auto Online. It's the same that happened to me on something else that I played. I'm trying to do the mission. I'm trying to sort of just do my thing. And along comes a bloody pirate and literally sinks my ship and nicks all my stuff. I mean, who do they think they are? Pirates?
I mean,
So pirate game that got pirated, but there you go. So anyway, I tried Sea of Thieves. The tutorial was great because I was on my own, but the second I got out into the open seas with everyone else, I was like, oh no, I'm not really getting into this. I like the style of it though. I like the animation.
It's
pretty.
Like it looks really nice.
Nice bit of humor.
Rare, right? Who did all those classic games back on the Nintendo systems. I really want to jump back into it at some point, especially for the new content. But again, that's the only thing that like I need to jump in with a crew that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and protect you.
Exactly. Like I want to experience all this new content. I want to go after
absolutely. That's it.
The Megalodon and like all these new crazy.
I am sort of like I know it's a great game. I know it's an online game, but there must be ways of kind of just shutting down your world. Like, why would you sort of be happy as a game maker to make a game that can be so easily just bullied around? Like on Grand Theft Auto Online, I first time I'd ever played it, I wanted to get into it. I wanted to give it a go, and I'm sort of like there are missions and stuff you can do as a solo player. So I'm running around trying to find that, and then somebody just mows me down in their car. And it's like, thanks.
Just absolutely muller.
Not even by accident. Literally just drove straight at me and just ran me over. I'm like, bitch.
That's par for the
what a
course
bitch
on GTA. So you got to do like RP servers. Those are like pretty big in the GTA scene.
True.
Just pretend to be a character.
Giant,
in that
yeah.
Well, Nicotine that was on talking about running a shop.
Oh yeah.
Not the most exciting thing I'd have done in Grand Theft Auto myself, but you want to run a corner shop, you run a corner shop.
That sounds fun to me, though, to be honest. But I love little like freaking farming games, and I just want to sit there and I want to like I don't want to do too many of the other stuff. I just want to like grow crops and then sell crops, and that's it. Like I just want to do that and repeat. So I would love a little corner shop, just like doing that over and over again. Favorite
people
thing.
Coming on in, you talk to them about stuff, and then they leave, and it's like, I'll never see them again, or maybe they'll come back and be a regular. Anything could happen. You know,
it's dramatic.
I just imagine it in a Grand Theft Auto kind of like version of a shop, though. So it's like Gloxa, cocaine. It's not really like pick up your local newspaper.
For you, sir.
Yeah. What else have I doing? What else have I been doing apart from melting? DigiPride updates. I always use this chunk to talk about a little bit more about DigiPride. We have two amazing things coming up in the next 10 days or so. I'm going to talk about one of them, and I'm going to throw it over to Mia to talk about the other one. On Wednesday, the 28th of July, we have a panel discussion as part of DigiPride with the fabulous Stream Queens, led by Dia and joined by 4 other fantastic queens from across and around the world to talk about the wonders of drag and streaming and all of that sort of exciting goodness. So yeah, that is something to watch out for. It's on the 28th of July, 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Right here on twitch.tv/GameMag, I should say as well, for the audio listeners. So yeah, that is something not to miss in about 10 days or so. And the other thing we've got coming up in July, Mia.
Yes, this Friday we have a fantastic collaboration between DIGIPRIDE and Transmission Gaming. We are holding the Twitch's first ever exclusive Fall Guys tournament, where participants are going to go head to head to find out who is the most prideful. It is called the Fall Guys Most Prideful Tournament, and it's this Friday, 23rd at, I believe it's noon PST, which is about 8 p.m. PST. If you'd like to hop on down, I believe that's going to be over at twitch.tv/nicotine. Potentially, we'll keep you updated on that. I believe that's where it's going to be. But yeah, tournament arc. If you want to come and find out who the best trans Fall Guy player is, make sure that you pop on over and keep your eyes peeled and for finding out which channel that ends up on. So maybe more.
Absolutely, probably mobile, and we'll be hosting it here on Gayming Mag anyway. But yeah. So that'll be fun. So that's kind of my updates. Mia, what have you been doing?
I've been up to a bunch of stuff, mostly organizing that tournament. But yeah, that a lot of Final Fantasy 14. 14's great as per usual, but I imagine FoxQueen will probably jump into talking about that at some point. So
Yeah.
we're gonna skim
Well, I
over
do.
all of that. I did want to say apparently Stamps in chat said that the Pirates of the Caribbean content is also single player, so you can do that in single player, Robin. when you get around
Oh.
to it.
But single player is still online.
I don't know. Listen, I'm the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay?
I'm not
All right.
shooting. I'm just curious. Listen, I'll probably jump back in again. I haven't honestly sort of hand on heart received too much too much sort of looting of my poop deck as yet. So we'll see how that sort of we'll see how that goes over the next few weeks.
The quest for booty. Wonderful.
The quest for booty, full of semen. No, carry on. Move on.
Anywho, we're on the front page of Twitch. Hi. So, did everybody? First question, FoxQueen. Did you watch any of the Loki series?
God, I haven't, but that's because I'm so behind on Marvel movies, and I want to watch it so bad because I've heard such such good things,
So
and I love
the
Loki.
finale
for it.
just happened. I'm not going to spoil it, but
Okay.
I just wanted to get a general thoughts on what happened in the finale. I thought definitely best series by far. Very, very, very exposition-y for a last episode. A lot of talking, but I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Did you happen to catch it?
It's interesting you said best series. I still think WandaVision actually pips that because I think as an actual standalone concept, I think actually that was slightly better. However, I think one of the things that I think will is interesting, and it's interesting what you said. I think there's a lot of groaning and a lot of grumbling, as is the way on sort of fan forums and whatever else, about the finale not really being a finale. It's not. It wasn't a finale, and I can't say anything more than that. But actually, this was the beginning. This was the start. This episode 6 of that series is where literally everything changes for the entire Marvel universe.
Well, to be fair, we're right back at the point that I thought we were at the beginning of the series before I started watching it, so that's fine. The only thing now is that I know that there's something in the background that I wasn't aware of before. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to see where they take this and the different projects that are coming up. Obviously, it does a lot of setting up for the new projects that are coming up in the future, but it's definitely worth watching. I think they did a fantastic job. I think some of the episodes were a little bit drawn out, and
it was heavy exposition all the way through. Like the entire series was kind of, they had little punch ups occasionally, but it predominantly, this had a lot of heavy lifting to do. It was 6 episodes. I genuinely thought it was 6 episodes of basically hitting some fairly large reset buttons on the entire Marvel universe, for various reasons that Disney have now bought new properties that they need to get in and into established canon. So they kind of thought, well, we could throw this into there and just chuck a massive bomb in amongst everything and blow it all apart a little bit. I think that's what they've done.
Weird. It's so weird as well because you have Kevin Feige, who's like the head of like the management and everything over there, said that you don't really need to watch any of the Disney Plus shows in order to understand the greater universe. But like, you look at Loki and you're like,
well,
you kind of need to watch that series. You kind of need to watch that series because
that's what I
sort
thought.
of
changes.
I think the one series that I thought was a bit of a letdown that actually felt like you really did need to watch a lot was Falcon Winter Soldier. That one, because it had so many callbacks to all the Captain America films, the Black Panther film, and the Avengers and everything else. That one actually was so intertwined with everything. I could see somebody watching Loki in a sort of standalone kind of way.
No, what I meant is that like Kevin Feige said that you don't need to watch any of the actual
totally
series on the greater universe.
I see. No, that's not the case at all. No, this is, I think this is pretty much ensured that pretty much at any time there's something new Marvel to watch, and they all will play into each other. The clever writer will ensure that if you go and watch Doctor Strange's and the Multiverse of Madness, which is the next film coming up, a clever writer will excuse the fact that you didn't need to see Loki.
You see, that kind of annoys me, like the whole, Doctor Strange multiverse of madness thing, because like I wish they hadn't released that title, because
Yeah.
it sets up so many expectations
Yeah.
for all the projects that are coming up and
Yeah.
like speculation on that. It would have been so great if they just called it like Doctor Strange something else or another, and then turned around last minute and been like, boom, multiverse
Just
of
call it-
madness.
You're right. Just call it Doctor Strange 2. Just lean on it all the time as Doctor Strange 2. I think we probably obviously lost out a little bit of all of that continuity as a result of the pandemic. Shows were meant to be coming out in different times. Films are meant to be coming out in different times. So I suspect this might have happened in a slightly different order. We know for a fact that I also saw Black Widow. We know for a fact that the character that you see at the end of Black Widow in the post credits, thank you, is a character that we should never have seen before, but we actually have now seen that character in Falcon Winter Soldier
because
as
they're
well.
airing out of order, yeah.
Because they've got it out of order, so they had to go back and do a few reshoots really quickly. But
So
there you go. What else?
General funness there, I
need to
guess.
catch up.
I've been taking part in the season of Pride, which is a wonderful little collection of LGBTQIA streamers streaming a bunch of queer games, either made by queer creators or featuring queer characters, and that's Mid-Boss's little project that they put together every single year. And I played Snowbound Blood, which was this wonderful little like visual novel kind of detective game, which features like I don't know, like you're like dragon lizard people, I guess. Was that the doggo?
Is that Thunder?
It started storming the second I joined. Literally the second. I was like, are you kidding me? So if you hear that really loud lightning, that's what it is. And my dog is like losing it in the background.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's so loud.
I mean, you're in Tennessee. It's probably just two guys kissing and God smiting them or something. I'm not sure.
You're so right. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Don't even worry about it. So Snowbound Blood, wonderful little detective game where you play this like reptilian, like tiefling-esque character. I didn't get through much of it so far, but it's intriguing and it seems very queer. So yeah, definitely worth jumping into that or just checking out Season of Pride in general because there's so many wonderful streamers involved. I'm not sure. FoxQueen, are you involved this year?
I am. I should. Yeah. My first day is Wednesday. I think I have two more days.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been jumping into a little bit of Warframe again. They just had their TennoCon event that I co-streamed, and they announced a bunch of stuff there. They announced Warframe for mobile phones. They announced that it's like on every single platform now, but the big thing that they announced was cross-play and cross-save. So you can take one account and just play it on any single system, which also means that updates are going to be coming out on the systems all at the same time, which is crazy because of just the problems that you have when you're trying to push out updates to like console systems. Usually they have to go through a whole bunch of processes in order to get them like verified on there. So it might just mean that the PC ones get delayed, but that's super exciting. There's also now new playable races, just different races that weren't playable before in the game, like the Grineer and the Corpus, and like characters like Teshin that you can play as in the new like cinematic storyline quests, the New War, which is finally coming, and I'm super excited. It's supposed to be at some point this year. They didn't announce a date, but yeah, so I jumped into that. I've been playing a bit of Warframe, checking out like the new Warframes that are on there, and just having a bunch of fun with it, really. But that's about all I've been up to this week. I've just been exhausted mostly. Yeah. FoxQueen, Alice, what have you been up to?
Lots of webcomics, which is kind of my usual. And lots of Final Fantasy 14 and Genshin, which is also my usual. Nothing too crazy, really.
How is Genshin at the moment? Like I haven't touched that in a hot minute.
Oh, good. Inazuma is coming this week, so exciting and very good.
That's this week.
That's this week. Yeah, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. It's one of those days. It should be dropping. I'm very excited for Ayaka.
Me too. Like I always said that like when Ayaka drops, I will jump back into the game. And now
I'm not
ready. Oh yeah. No. Oh, I'm gonna lose all my money again. Oh, that's not good.
No, I've just been grinding Primo Gems. I haven't rolled since Venti's banner, so I'm ready. I'm prepared.
Yeah,
like
I think the last time I rolled
rolls.
was just before Venti's last second banner.
Mhm.
I was doing my taxes the other day, and I was just looking MiHoYo 99.99. I'm like, oh god, I spent so much on Genshin. Oh no.
God,
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
strong.
But,
I've
but
only
did you
spent
write it off
money.
on the company as an expense?
Course I did.
because you
Of course.
because you were streaming, of course. Yeah,
I
exactly.
streamed it. Yeah, it's a business expense. Yeah. Mhm.
I've only spent money on Ganya's banner and on Jean's skin because Jean is my wife and I am in love with her. So
Oh yeah, they
I
added
have
skins
to.
to the game, didn't they?
Yeah, they
I
added
that.
a Jean summer skin and a Barbara summer skin. And the Barbara one is free. It's just with the summer event. And the Jean one is, I think, $20, which is kind of pricey, but it's a really cute skin. And I had to get it because it's Jean.
Yeah.
So
How's 14 been treating you? Like, how far are you through the game? Are you caught up on all the content? Or?
5.3, so I'm almost there, and it is a lot. Oh, jeez.
I'm still trying to get through Shadowbringers myself at the moment. I just made it to Ishtola again, so I'm a little bit behind, but yeah. No spoilers, no spoilers.
I promise, I promise.
What did you think of that in general? What's the best expansion, in your opinion?
So my favorite was tied for a while between Heavensward and Stormblood, and they kind of like passed each other occasionally. But Shadowbringers really took the cake. Like I don't, it's just so amazing, and I just keep like thinking about it. Like, oh my god, it's so loud. I'm so sorry, but I'll just be like,
it's not as if you can control the weather unless you have some hidden power that we're unaware of.
I might. I really
secretly
might.
an X-Men. That's. Oh, have we lost Alice?
Oh no.
Oh, maybe. Oh no, the Thunder God's got her.
I think the Thunder Gods might have got FoxQueen.
Alice may have been smote by the Thunder Gods.
Well, we'll carry on and see what happens. Yeah, so Alice might be back.
We just get Alice like
do you want to keep
for the rest of the stream. She was really
oh God. For the audio listeners, and we've got a freeze on Alice in such a really happy pose. So in a kind of weird, I don't know whether to get rid of her or not. I can't decide.
It's
what do you reckon, chat? Do we kick her out or do we?
it's bringing me joy.
Look, we're going to keep talking because I want to get on to. There we go. So I want to get on to bite-sized news because there has been some big news actually this past week. We're not going to be fumbling around on this one. The OLED Switch has been announced. Yeah, that was something. It's like, here, have a Switch. Like, Nintendo, please give us a Switch Pro. And it's like, well, how about an OLED screen? Yeah.
And like I heard Stephanie Sterling talk about this in general and being like the reason that people are so surprised is because there are so many rumors talking about like the whole new Switch Pro thing, and then for some reason 4K got added onto that. Oh, FoxQueen says power went out.
Yeah, she's coming back. She's coming back.
We can expect FoxQueen back shortly.
Yeah,
which is wonderful. Yeah, just pop back in whenever you're ready. So I can't, the expectation that there would be 4K there and like it being upgraded innards, was granted. It was warranted that people were thinking that. Maybe we should actually explain what this is. We
should. Yeah, absolutely. So let's take it back just a second. So for those that missed it, rewind. I'll post the link in the chat. Basically, Nintendo has been promising us their Pro Edition. It's been the most badly kept secret on the internet for about 2 years, 3 years maybe, pretty much since the first Switch came out. And I think about 18 months ago, whenever it was, 2 years maybe, they released the Switch with a bigger battery. And people were like, oh. And then this time around, we thought there was a huge rumor that it was going to happen around E3. And obviously, it sort of still is around E3, just a bit late. They come out with this new OLED Switch, which is obviously an OLED screen. It's a slightly bigger screen. It's exactly the same functionality, exactly the same design. It has a stand on the back. Obviously, the current Switch has, which is more like a finger, but this is like a bit of a. It's like
the console wide. It flaps out. And it's
the Surface, the Microsoft Surface, like the entire sort of bottom of it kicks out, so it's really stable. And also the dock has a LAN. Yeah, exactly. An Ethernet thing to build in as well.
You do lose out on one of your USB ports for that, though.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of it. And it's a bit sort of like, okay. And I think that's pretty much, and sorry, and well done, chat. It also has 64 instead of 32 gig. But hooray.
I guess that's again, underwhelming.
Nintendo games are so well compressed anyway. You can get a ton on there without even stressing about it.
I don't know about that. I get a lot of Nintendo games, and I struggle.
And you also have it's also expandable as well with an SD card. So it's not a massive problem. But I think that the key thing, I think, for all of this, and I think what it really tells us, is that there is another one. This is not me starting yet another rumor, but I think it's fairly obvious now that we're actually going to get a wholesale upgrade of a brand new Switch 2, perhaps next year. I think this is kind of the mid ground of like some basic improvements ahead of the next big one. Which will be coming out next year, and I think that will feature all the things that have been rumored to be featured in this one. But
you'd hope so. But at the same time, does it? I mean, the Switch still sells well. Does Nintendo really need to release like a?
I think it does. I think it's getting to the point now where
yes, for the company themselves and their bottom line at the moment, I don't think they see it as a priority.
Totally. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I think what's really interesting is that obviously they don't really compete because they're two very separate things. But the PS4 and the Xbox that are really pushing into the whole sort of like 4K fantasy sort of thing. I think Nintendo's got to go there to sort of stay slightly relevant in the long run. But I think what they said in the meantime, at least, is with this high powered sort of screen, the OLED screen, it means you can do sort of good gaming on the fly, because half the point of having a Switch is to be able to play it in dual mode. You're meant to. It is a handheld that can be docked.
The reason that I was so underwhelmed is that, like, I unlike probably a lot of people, I play most of my games docked. So for me, a person that already has a USB to LAN adapter for my Switch, there's very little here that would entice me to upgrade. And that's fine. This isn't necessarily for me, which is good. It's just that it'd be nice for Nintendo to release a system which can run games at a stable frame rate. That's the only thing at the moment. Games like Hyrule Warriors, even the last Legend of Zelda that came out, Link's Awakening, the remake that they did of Link's Awakening, that stutters. A game like that stutters on the Switch, and it's so it's disappointing when you get like a brand new announcement. It's like, we're going to do nothing to make the game run better, and they don't see it as an issue.
That is the problem. There are a few games, particularly when docked, that it all starts to sort of go slightly askew. I'd like to see a new Switch as like 1080p handheld 4K docked. I think that would be the sort of the real thing that would kind of be the next gen Switch. But I think it's interesting. Hand on heart, if you own a Switch right now, save your money for the thing that we're going to talk about in just a minute. But save your money. But if you don't have a Switch and you're interested in getting a Switch, you might as well get this one, because it is the top of the line, all singing, all dancing, as good as it gets kind of Switch.
What's the price point on it? Do we have a price point on the Switch? $49.99.
Yeah, dollars. It's about the same in pounds because of tax and stuff.
Probably, with like the import stuff that they do too. I'd say for that price, like, personally, I'd say skip it. Honestly.
Yeah,
and that's not
unless you're not looking for a Switch. Then you are looking for a Switch. I mean, you don't have a Switch.
If you want
then obviously buy it.
Then buy it.
But if you don't, leave it.
Depends what you want it for. Like, if you want a shiny screen and some good, good storage space, then it's fine. I will say though, there is something else that
There is.
has been announced,
There
which is definitely a competitor for the Switch, or at least it seems like. Valve recently announced their Steam Deck, which definitely didn't make me really annoyed because Elgato, who makes products for streamers, have a product called the Stream Deck. So whenever you're just trying to like Google about the Steam Deck, it just keeps coming up with Stream Deck now, and that's not annoying at all. But this is essentially Steam's version of a Switch. It is a handheld system, a big chunky handheld system with a screen and like I think I can.
Oh, it's
probably show
ugly
you
as
that.
sin. It's ugly as
Yeah.
sin.
Yeah.
But it has like the buttons are in the slightly weird place, but it actually has touchpads underneath it, so it kind of has a mousy kind of a mousy effect, if that's such a thing. Such a great word. Yes.
For the video.
For the videolas.
Yeah, if you're listening on audio, we'll just describe what this looks
We'll
like.
do a verbal description.
Yeah, imagine a Switch, but with the but it's a big chunky
with the buttons in really
plastic.
inaccessible places.
Yeah, the buttons are in super inaccessible places, and it's a lot wider, and it has like trackpads underneath where the buttons should be.
Yep.
So you can use it for mouse games. It's very weird looking, and I think that the article pretty much says it all as well. Like, the article's literally called "The Steam Deck looks great, but my hands already hate it," because apparently it's like double the weight of a Switch.
Oh, you're going to get RSI. Yes. Yeah, that's going to break your hands in about a heartbeat. But
definitely.
That being aside, I think what's been interesting is like people sort of roll their eyes very hard when they talk about Steam machines because they're not exactly set themselves alight in recent times with consoles and everything else, and made some really dumb decisions in the past. I'm led to believe this one's a lot better.
One that you actually just said there, Steam machines. Did you remember Steam machines?
Yeah,
that was an actual thing. Like
the near genius business move to produce a thing that runs on Linux, where most games are developed on Windows. So you automatically cut yourself off from about 80% of the games that you could play on it.
I will say the cool thing about this particular device is that apparently it just works like a Windows PC. So it has a Steam UI on there, but you can just load up any launcher on there that you like, or completely take that apart yourself and just install your own version of Windows, because it is just a handheld gaming PC with a screen, which is insane that they've made this at that size. I really hope that this is something that Valve sticks with, and it's not another product that they give up on.
I hope so too, because my boyfriend's already reserved one of his.
Which one did you go for? Because obviously there's 3 different SKUs of that.
Yeah, so we went for the he went for the middle one, which was what's the middle one? 250, 150, 120, 120 odd gig, I think it was. It's 64, 120 odd, 250. And yeah, so I mean, but also interesting story. Just to quickly jump off and talk about pre-order and stuff. What Valve have done here is genius to stop scalpers. Utter genius. You have to have a Steam account that has bought a game within the last few months. So it has to be an active Steam account that genuinely you're doing stuff on. And then you have to pay, I think it was a $4 deposit. And then they work their way down the order of the people that are paid deposits to reach out to them to then buy your thing. So
that's cool.
It's really clever way of actually stopping pretty much scalpers in their tracks. What?
You say that, but I'm looking at the site right now, and it says the expected order availability for this is Q3 2022 for the 2
it's miles away. It's miles away.
Yeah. Is there a release date for this yet, by the way? Did they announce a release date?
I don't think they did. I just think it's one of those things that's coming.
December 2021. Yeah.
Yes, that's not going to happen. It might do. It might start happening around then.
So
but we all know that's not going to happen.
If you order it, the base one is not going to be with you until 2022, and then the 2 higher SKUs are not going to be around until like the third quarter of 2022. So around this time, a year's time from now.
Yeah, it's going to be a long wait. But I think just to sort of take it back just a second, I think apart from all of that, I think what is good is this is accessible PC gaming, because it does come with a dock. and the dock can have a keyboard and mouse plugged into it. So you can, on a screen, play a keyboard and mouse game. It's 720, so it's not going to please the 4K warriors. And I think that we've had this conversation before around, is it all about 4K? If you don't have a TV that runs 4K, then it's not about 4K. But if you're looking for that really kind of cheap, easy price point of getting into PC gaming that doesn't involve hours of building your own PC or thousands of dollars, money, pounds spent on sort of buying stuff and upgrading it constantly, I think this is actually really accessible. And I think I'm now curious, and I'm going to sort of stand by this statement. I think it's going to be a game changer for getting queer games from indie makers into people's hands. And because
really?
I think so. I really do. I think that I think PC gaming is still seen as kind of a way of really kind of, it's obviously where the indies live, through Steam, through itch. And I think I think actually the ability to play some fabulously queer games on the move, I think it could be a game changer for increasing sort of people's accessibility into queer games.
That's one of the questions I asked when I saw this was announced, was like, who is this made for? You know, because surely like a lot of people who want, like, there can't be that many people who want PC gaming on the go. And if that's the case, would they want it at this resolution? Would they want it in this type of machine that potentially has certain drawbacks compared to, say, like taking a laptop on the go, like a gaming laptop?
I think it's made for indie gamers. I really do. Because 720, it's you're not going to try and play Assassin's Creed on it. You're not going to try and play any of the kind of big titles that are coming out when you have a console sat in your lounge.
You say that, but you can like hook this up to a TV as well and play it via a TV.
Guess who's back?
Hi,
welcome back.
Oh my god.
God smited your internet connection.
I know. And then my computer somehow took the longest amount of time possible to turn back on, which was insanely annoying. So, but
it's all good.
Hi.
It's all good. What do you think of the Steam Deck? What's your take on that?
I want it, but I don't have money for it. As my take.
What I was saying about this as well is, like, I can't see people who buy Nintendo games, like the market, the broad market that was into like the Switch, switching over to something like the PC, because they're this Steam Deck, because I don't necessarily think that they're PC games. Maybe times have changed, but I don't think the audience that bought into the Wii and is now probably like gone across to the Switch, like mostly the family orientated audience, are going to look at this and say that is a purchase that I want to make.
I don't think so.
I think they're too far removed from that.
I think it's really I think it's a really great conversation to be having, and what an exciting thing to talk about on a podcast. But I think it's the key thing for me here is that it is an accessible price point into PC gaming. I think PC gaming is always held back behind this kind of ludicrously high wall of having to buy thousands of pounds and dollars worth of equipment and time and effort and building, and it kind of has that sort of Chinese wall about it. But I think the notion of being able to pick up a console that gets access to all these games, that as someone sitting here who doesn't have a PC to play PC games on, I am just console based, I feel like I'm missing out, particularly when it comes to some of the fantastically queer indie games that exist that are made specifically for Steam. How do I get my hands on them? So I think I think it's made for me. Would I play it docked? Probably. Would I play it undocked? Maybe. And I think this is going to continue to push our conversation forward around the idea that it's not a PC game. It's not for PC gamers. It's a game, and you're just taking it out on the console that it's available on.
I will say, actually, there's something that got me quite excited about this in particular, is that essentially any game, as long as you've got an internet connection, is, if it's on PC, it's available now. And if you pair that with, say, the streaming services, which are becoming more popular, funny enough, we've got a story coming up about that too. You can have this device, have nothing downloaded technically, and just run pretty much any game you like from it, which seems like a fantastic notion for the future of gaming.
And I believe I read it right as well, that they're looking to try and compete a little bit with Xbox Game Pass with the idea that they're trying to do sync saves as well. So you could have been playing your wonderful PC game on your massive gaming PC, But then when you do want to go and jump on the subway, you can just pick up and carry on where you left off with a save game. That's
I will
sort of
say,
I love that.
I will say the one thing that gets me like, oh, should I press the button to reserve? Should I press the button? Is like Final Fantasy 14. Do I want to be playing that in bed?
yeah,
On this thing?
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I guess people do with like laptops, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
You've seen these sort of like fabulous like memes of kind of like the bed setup. That's like the sit up bed thing with like a desk that locks in and.
I mean, that was like me when I was a kid, honestly, with like games, because I didn't have like a fancy computer. I just usually, if I played MMOs, I was like hunched over on my little laptop as like a 14-year-old, like playing those little MMOs.
Do you want to hear something amazing that I've had to do? This would probably. So we have a home theater PC set up in the living room at the moment, and because my sister's quarantining because of the whole COVID situation, she's essentially taken over the living room, and I couldn't use my PC in there. So I lugged the whole thing upstairs with a portable like monitor. It's like a monitor which is kind of like a tablet with a kickstand that you just plug in and it gets power from whatever device you're plugging it into. I was there in bed working on stuff with this massive ass PC at the side with the small little tiny monitor on top of it using a wireless keyboard, just being like, yeah, this works, I guess. Maybe if I had the Steam Deck it would have made that a lot easier. Who knows?
Oh my god. I think it would. I agree.
You would never see real life again.
Yeah, no, if you give me 14 mobile and I can get into bed with it, I don't think I'd ever leave. I'd be bedridden from that point. So,
God. That's why I can't play Genshin on my phone, because that would be me. I would just be like on my phone in bed all the time and like never not playing Genshin. So I gotta restrict myself.
And your bank account heavily overdrawn.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's the Stream Deck. Let's see how it goes.
Steam Deck. See, I told you.
I am going to do that too. Don't you worry. That's gonna be me.
It's the Stream.
Why would
Steam
they call
Deck.
it the Steam Deck?
I don't know. It was the worst choice. God.
I don't know if Valve's even aware that Elgato exists.
They have to
They
be.
must be. Even I know what a Stream Deck is.
They can't count to the number 3, so it's
fair.
like.
There was a story earlier this week about Erika Ishii, who's a fantastic voice actor, and she voices a character on Apex Legends, who is a very simple story. She proudly came out. Oh, we're bloody on the front page of Twitch. I can't say the word, but she went F TERFs basically in the story, which was fantastic.
I'll proudly say F TERFs as well.
Exactly, F TERFs for everyone. And let's just get that out there right now. But I mean, again, this just absolutely, and this just carries on the fantastic sort of performance of Apex now. I think in really kind of representing for kind of like the queer and proud MMORPG world as well. And we love Erika. She's a fantastic actress who's done some fantastic voice work.
Honestly, it makes me happy that more and more companies are. Well, this is something I would like to see. It makes me happy, like during Pride Month, like all these companies come out in support of the LGBTQI community. But you need more people at all levels, including like voice actors. And like voice actors are a little bit removed from the company, so they're safe to say this kind of stuff without repercussion. But it'd be nice to see companies like backing up these kind of statements and saying, yeah, we don't allow this kind of crap. We don't align with this kind of stuff in our games. And I'd love to see more of that, honestly. Like, people trying to take away other people's rights. Not a good look.
Not on her watch, not on anyone's watch, not on any of ours watch. So yeah, love Erika Ishii. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing.
Now, I will say, last story. Something that I mentioned earlier was being able to stream games anywhere, and there's a bunch of little different services that you can get into right now. Obviously, there's the one from Microsoft. Which one? What's that called again? Like an addition to their Game Pass called.
Oh, it's called xCloud at the moment, but I'm not sure that's going to.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure that's going to stick, but
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
but basically, Netflix are throwing their hat into the ring and saying that they want to start offering video games on Netflix as a part of like the pre-existing service, which if they do, that could be a game changer. That could definitely be a game changer.
Absolutely. I mean, they've already started tiptoeing slightly into it with their what's the phrase? Choose your own story
Minecraft
kind of
like interactive
goosebumps. Yeah, the interactive stories of kind of like choose what happens next, because they did it with Bandersnatch, and they did it with
Minecraft.
Kimmy Schmidt as well, and Minecraft.
Minecraft?
That's all I remember. I'm just like Minecraft.
Minecraft.
I know.
All right. No, so they're kind of tiptoeing into that world, but no, they've been sort of fumbling around the edges a little bit on this, but they've literally just recruited a new head of games at Netflix,
a former EA and Facebook executive, Mike Verdu, which is an interesting choice. But I think their whole point of view right now is that they're not actually competing against other streaming platforms. What they're actually competing against is video games like Fortnite, like things that just like take up people's time in general. That's not being like not them using Netflix as a service. And so if they want to like throw their hat into the video games ring, I really do think it could have an impact. The amount of like people that already have a Netflix subscription, then being able to play video games through that at no extra charge, that actually might encourage.
I wouldn't expect no extra charge, but
well, I think that they mentioned.
They claimed it was no extra charge.
Yeah,
they've got to start earning some money somewhere. I don't understand. I don't quite understand the Netflix business model of let's just throw money out like it's just been invented. They haven't made any profits yet, and
really?
Someone somewhere's got to start earning some bucks soon at Netflix.
They've been talking about like ads and stuff, which I would personally hate, but I feel like that's what's gonna like happen with how they are, you know.
They've got to do something. It's not like they're going broke or anything. But I mean, what's really interesting, of course, is that with all of the new IP that they own, because they're producing so many of these Netflix originals, it's not like they're going to be short for ideas for their wonderful games.
No, I mean they've already like produced games in the past, like they've got The Witcher on there. They could definitely do a tie into that. They've got the Stranger Things series. They've done multiple games for Stranger Things. So it's not as if they don't have IPs to pull from. They have a lot of fantastic IPs they could pull from, and like having that on their platform that you can get nowhere else, that'll be like a big draw.
Absolutely.
Will it work? That's the question. Like,
well, I tell you what, they're going to get further than. I think they're going to get further than some of the other ones that are trying. Yeah. Because the biggest problem that I think Tork at the top of the show was talking about that was talking about it anyway. But Amazon had an ill-fated year or two of not much. And then they're still pushing ahead with their Luna streaming service, which is adding games that is just already available. So why the hell would you go and buy a new service to play games that already exist? And Stadia is doing the same. It's just another repository for games that you already own. At least with Netflix, if they're producing stuff and they get their hands on a lot of their own IP, there's your reason to suddenly start playing those games.
This all comes back to what we spoke about before. Whenever this conversation pops up, and that's infrastructure, and that's how do you get the same kind of experience to every single person? Unless they're going to start offering, doing it like potentially doing it like Xbox are doing it with the Game Pass, and actually letting you download the games. I don't necessarily see it working unless there's a massive change in infrastructure, which is fine for certain territories, but again, in the US, where the country is carved up and like distributed between different companies, how much impact is that actually going to have? Because that's where Stadia fell. You know, I can't remember who was the head of Stadia. One of the execs over at Stadia said, "We expect these ISPs to upgrade their services so people can, you know, take advantage of Stadia." And it's like, well, unless you're in a city center with a fiber internet connection, it's not going to work. So I mean, I'm optimistic if anybody can do it. I think Netflix probably has the best bet, but yeah, that's
absolutely. And I think you're right. It's always about infrastructure. We're not there yet as a world with infrastructure, but you have to start somewhere. That's the idea, I think. And I think these companies, they're putting markers down and they'll sort of make it work in the long run, but at least they're there when it all takes off. So yeah. That is the end of bite-sized news. Coming up, we're going to find out more about Alice with a little 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 interview, I should say. But before that, we're going to, for the people that aren't subscribed, and for the audio listeners, this is irrelevant to you, we're going to go for another 90-second ad break.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are subscribing, what other quality content can we come up with to fill this 90 seconds? I just think the infrastructure thing is such an interesting debate, isn't it? Because it's not there yet. And Google Stadia, they have a website that you can go to where you put in like your speed, and then it comes up and sort of says like, you can experience this much. And I think even I've just literally got new fiber, which is about 40 megabytes. Even then, their site sort of says, "Oh, you can only experience 720p," and it's like, what am I doing?
That's ridiculous.
Why 40? They reckon that the bare minimum that you need for a proper 4K experience to be properly competitive with a new generation of consoles is over 100 megabytes.
There's no way I can get fiber around where I live. Like, I don't think there's even fiber in my state, and if there is, it's like really far away from me. Like it's 6 or 8 hours or something. Like
just to the
ridiculous.
governor's mansion.
Yeah. So it's like there's no point in me getting Stadia like at all.
Exactly. I think it's coming. It's going to come with the infrastructure. It's going to come with 5G. I think it's going to be a game changer for this as well. It's just not there yet. But it's just these companies putting down markers and just sort of being ready for when it happens. It's like the electric car revolution that's happening at the moment. There's not enough particularly in the UK. There's not enough chargers. The batteries aren't quite getting you the distance they need to get you. But it's got to start somewhere. So anyway, and we're back on the main screen, or whatever we were going to call this. We are going to talk to the wonderful FoxQueen and find out more about her and her fabulous life. So yeah, let's get started. It's time for your time. It's time for your moment in the spotlight to get to know you a little bit more.
So easy question to start off. How would you like describe your streams, and what do you feel like attracts people to your content and stream?
Okay, so I would describe my streams as typically a nice chill environment where I primarily play a lot of like story-based games, JRPGs, anime-esque games, stuff like that. And focused on keeping it very inclusive, especially to like LGBTQIA+ people. And I would say what appeals people to my stream is just the like very, very gay environment. Mixed
We
with
love
it
a gay
being-
environment.
I
we do.
know. Mixed with it
Hold on.
being just really hell yeah. I need a big fan. I really do. I feel like freaking everyone who's LGBTQIA+ ever has one, and I don't. I feel so excluded. I feel like a fake gay over here. What am I doing? You know? But thank you. I hope so. God, my girlfriend would be very disappointed. But
I will say I personally like find you to be very sweet and very charismatic in your content as well, and so that's why whenever I'm like lurking away, I'm just like enjoying the chill vibes of the stream too. So
thank you.
Always good.
And of course, nominated for Streamer of the Year at this year's Gaming Awards as well.
Yeah, that was wild. That was such an insane experience, honestly, just being nominated and being a part of it. Like, I truly did not in any way think that would happen, especially because genuinely, like, the size of the other streamers that were involved, it was wild. Like, look at Mia here. You know what I mean? Like, being nominated with her and like everyone else, phew, you know. Like, it was cool. And I think I was one of the only like not partners nominated too. So that was sweaty.
The thing to take away from this is the fact that it was public nominations.
Yeah.
It was public nominations that got you over the line for that, to get you into that top 14. So that in itself does speak volumes. It's not about the numbers on the platform. It's about who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
But crazily enough, and this is when we talked about this, we interviewed you on Gaming. I think it's about a year ago now.
Yeah.
I was absolutely fascinated to find out that before you got into streaming, you were actually a pastry chef.
I was, yes.
Tell me more about that to start off with, because obviously cake is one of my biggest passions. And also then what was the jump over into streaming?
Okay, so when I was younger, I just kind of always I loved baking and pastry work and just everything involved in it. And it's still one of my greatest passions. I really do enjoy it. I don't do it as often as I used to because I'm so casual about it now, but anytime I can get a hold of some piping bags and some frosting and a just giant cake, I go a little wild. But yeah, I don't know. It was I started baking professionally when I think around the time I was 18 I started doing it, but more seriously so doing it and paid better to do it when I was 19 to 21-ish. And then during all this time, I was also streaming, which was a lot because I was working overtime a lot of the time while streaming, and my hours were about 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I would sometimes just run straight to my computer to stream right after that. So it was a little rough, but I enjoyed it, all things considered. And I started just making more money when I was streaming, so I just decided to give it a shot, doing it full time. But I don't know, it's very much still if I start not enjoying streaming full time, it's always my backup, and I wouldn't mind going to school for it, or further education and all that and training.
It's great to have a backup, I think, with streaming.
Yeah, I think so
it's
too.
It's good to have something in the back of your mind. It's that's my out.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, if you're a content creator, I'm sure Mia knows it's a lot. It's very all the time, very demanding, and it's a lot of effort and work and energy. And don't get me wrong, I love it to death, but sometimes there's days where I'm okay, I really am looking at being a pastry chef again because I'm exhausted, But
I feel that. Yeah, definitely. I completely understand you there.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the kind of games that you play, I know that you primarily have a love for a lot of story-based stuff, JRPGs, that sort of thing. Obviously, you mentioned Final Fantasy 14, Genshin that you're into. What is it about these types of games that attracts you to them?
I really, for a lot of story-based games, especially streaming them, I think I love getting immersed in the world, and I love experiencing that with my community and us all just reacting together to stuff and discussing things and talking about lore and theories, and it's just so fun to me to do that. And to have.
Are you the type of person that will watch a film again with somebody else and just to see how the other person reacts to that film?
Yeah. I'll show my favorite films and series to other people and just watch them the whole time.
I feel that for sure. Yeah. I get
that. Across your time on Twitch, what have been some of the standout moments that you've done?
Oh, okay. So I was actually, I think it was 3 years ago. It was a while because I've been on Twitch for a really long time, actually. But I think 3 years ago, I was invited to Front Page for Pride Month. And that was super fun, and getting to work with Twitch for that. They sent me the Pride t-shirt that year too. And it was so fun, and such a nice experience. And honestly, my community was so nice about it and just hyped me the hell up. Also, not to talk about you guys, but the experience of being nominated for the Gayming Awards was insane. And everyone was legit making me cry every 5 seconds because I wouldn't stop talking about it in my chat. And I just, someone, if you guys know the voice actor, Gideon Emery, someone commissioned him to talk about me being nominated. And he was just singing about it, and it made me legit just sob. It was insane. So those were some of my favorite moments.
Shadows also mentioned the BLM stream.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So during a big time when the riots were going, they still are. But during the peak of that, I just really wanted to like do something, like anything. So I decided to do kind of a last minute stream to raise money. And oh my gosh, I was saying like, oh, if I raise a certain amount of money, I'll do like a 12-hour. And then it just turned into an impromptu 24-hour because we raised so much money. I think it was like $4,000 in just like a last minute thing. And I expected
impromptu stream.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it was wild. I didn't have anything prepared, but it was insane. Everyone just came together and helped, and it just, God, it was a good moment.
Definitely.
I will say, like, I know we spoke about this earlier, but we're both involved in Season of Pride, Mid-Boss's Season of Pride, which is a fantastic event for LGBTQIA plus streamers and devs in general. What do you think events like that are important, and why is it important to you to be a part of those?
Yeah, so it's really important to me because one, so I'm pan, and sometimes I have a feeling of not. I'm dating a woman, but I still sometimes like feel like really like I joked about it, but I do sometimes feel like a fake gay sometimes because people are so like pan biphobic and it sucks, but being a part of like Summer of Pride with all of these just very out and proud like LGBTQA plus streamers really validates me and feels like, yes, I do belong, and yes, I do have a place here. And it's nice because when I first started streaming, I barely knew any other LGBTQIA plus streamers. Like I couldn't find any of them at the beginning. So seeing all of them like together and seeing all these like wonderful games and creators really just it feels good. It feels great to have these other streamers that get it, that like get the struggle of it and get what it's like to be on this platform. And I don't know, it's very validating and nice to me and just feels very comfortable and inclusive.
Yeah.
Definitely. For people that are sort of coming into the streaming world, what advice would you have for other LGBTQ people that are either starting to stream or thinking about streaming?
I would say definitely figure out what your boundaries are, like figure out what you're comfortable with like sharing, like maybe like if you're not fully like out yet, maybe just take it slow with that, figure out about that, but don't feel like there was a big post going around a while ago where a lot of people were kind of like gatekeeping the like LGBTQIA plus tag and like interviewing people.
Yes.
Do you remember about that, Mia?
Yeah, I can't quite. I've got a terrible memory, so if you could remind me, that would be fantastic.
Okay. So there were some people that were getting congratulated for this. They were going into the tags and like being like, "Are you really gay? Like, are you sure? Like all this other stuff. Are you trans?" And it was really gross. It's because I know a lot of people that like don't have a label for themselves yet and will stream under that. And it really made them feel very invalidated, especially a lot of bi-pan people, and I think like even if you're not sure about whatever, you're welcome to use the tag, feel free to, and if anyone tells you differently, frick them, but make sure you're comfortable with that, and if you're not yet, that's okay. Like if you're not comfortable using like whatever tags about your identity, maybe just like try it out, and if you're not there yet, that's okay. Like you're still valid even if you're not out about it. I don't know.
Exactly. No, I totally feel you there. Like I got a friend who's bi, and she's so hesitant at any time to use any of the tags and things because like she's in a relationship with a guy, so she kind of feels like an imposter in that way, and it's so horrible sometimes, like the way that people are kind of like guilted out of being their true self, even within the LGBTQIA plus community. And for me as well, if I wasn't trans, like my sexuality is constantly all over the place, and I haven't quite pinned that down myself. So I'd probably be in a very similar position. So yeah, definitely. Just don't feel like you need to say something straight away.
Yeah. You don't have to, and you even if you don't have a label for yourself. And also that's how I kind of feel about the ally tag, because I know it was controversial a little bit, but I think a lot of it's so I think 90% of people that are LGBTQIA plus start as an ally, and that's how they get into the scene, and that's how they they go to Pride as an ally, or they go to these scenes as an ally. And I think we need to stop being so strict to people about this and stop gatekeeping it, because you're pushing people out of the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it definitely sends a clear message as well to people that this space is an inclusive space.
I agree.
Yeah, I've definitely had my mind changed on that, because like I was always of the idea of like, well, if you're an ally, you don't need an ally tag, because everybody should be an ally. But for the vast majority of people on Twitch, like again the gamer bros, they might see that tag in someone's stream and be like, what's that all about, and then you know, either you educate them or you boot them out of that community, which is very, very easy and creates a lot more safe spaces for LGBTQ plus people. And I think it's a disservice to say no, we should just get rid of it because everybody should be an ally.
I agree. I think it's like not everyone, of course not everyone who is an ally is LGBTQIA plus, but again, the majority of people that are allies or the majority of people that are LGBTQIA plus were allies. So it's just it's important to remember, and it's important to be nice to
good
people.
To have spaces where people can like question themselves.
Things. That way they can step into it, and transition into it.
So moving on, when everything is done, when everything opens back up and this whole pandemic thing is passed, is there anything that you would like to do in the future, either online or offline, that you're looking forward to?
TwitchCon. Very excited about TwitchCon. Maybe PAX and stuff. I just want to go to more gaming conventions. I haven't gotten to do that much. Honestly, I'm not the best with like crowds. Like I have pretty bad like agoraphobia and stuff. So it makes it a little rough, but I would love to travel more and do that more.
I will say one of my favorite memories from TwitchCon was literally just walking through the outside halls or whatever it was, and literally just like spotting you and like just hearing like that squeal and then just running over and like the big hug. That made me extremely happy.
It was I still have the keychain that you gave me. Yeah, I still have it. It's in my little drawer over there. I keep meaning to like put it on my keys, but I keep forgetting because I also don't want to scratch it up. But it's like OG Ubat. I got it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Like you said, PAX. Is there anything else that you'd want to do or?
I'd like to maybe like travel to Europe at some point, but that's money. But I think it would be really fun to just do more traveling in general, like outside of the US or just in places in the US I haven't been.
Well, of course, there's the Gaming Awards in 2022.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I cool. genuinely can't say anything about, but clear your diary in early April. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
As always, we finish with our quick fire questions. It's nice and spontaneous. Don't even stop and think about it. Like the first thing that comes into your head.
It's a bit of fun.
It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun.
Okay.
And we'll power through.
Yes. So I'll start this off quickly. What's been your favorite game this year?
Final Fantasy 14.
Okay, cool.
What was the most memorable game from your childhood?
Dragon Age 2.
Nice.
Ooh,
nice.
What is your favorite video game character?
Fenris, Dragon Age 2.
What game do you most want a sequel to?
Dragon Age 2.
I'm seeing where this is going.
Yeah.
Who would be your dream stream guest if you say a voice actor from Dragon Age 2?
Idiot, every Dragon Age 2? Just kidding. Meg Turney. Meg Turney, for real.
Meg Turney?
Yeah. In love with her.
Absolutely. What game are you most looking forward to coming out?
Dragon Age 4.
Okay.
and Walker, Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. Good answers. If you're marooned...
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I know.
Sorry,
I know
go
what's.
on.
No, I can see what's coming up with the next question. But
Okay.
please go for it.
Okay. Scenario: you're marooned on an island.
Oh,
What
okay.
3 games would you want to have with you? Now, it can be this game has wonderful internet connection apparently, but you're not
Okay.
using it to escape. So
Definitely Final Fantasy 14. Dragon Age 2. I'm thinking. Oh God. Genshin. There we go.
Genshin. Cool. Dope.
Which game has the best soundtrack?
14. Final Fantasy 14. Sorry, these are all my answers. It has a great soundtrack.
That's fine. I mean, it has a fantastic soundtrack. Yeah.
Oh, you got to get to that Shadowwalkers? Sorry, Shadowbringers soundtrack more. It's chef's kiss.
Now, I will say, this is the last question. You feel free to take your time on this, okay? Where can people find your content, and what have you got coming up on the channel?
Oh man, I don't know. Twitch.tv/FoxQueen. I've got a lot of as stated, Final Fantasy 14 and Genshin Impact. But I've got Summer of Pride soon. Like I said, this Wednesday is when that'll be my first day, and then I have 2 more days. I think the week after. Maybe the week I don't know how long July is, but it's July 21st and then 27th and I think 28th, something like that, sometime around that time. And then everywhere else, Romping Fox, Twitter, TikTok, FoxQueen on YouTube, stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Alice, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been an utter pleasure, despite the thunder, despite
so sorry.
the gay good Lord smiting us.
I know. It's what I get for living in the Bible Belt, I'm telling you.
Exactly. You had a gay thought and they just cut the internet.
I know.
Exactly.
There's cameras in the walls. They're listening to everything. You're talking about that gay stuff.
I know.
Internet down. Turn the internet off.
My CIA agent was watching my webcam and was like, "We gotta get it. We gotta get it down."
Yeah, bit too gay.
It was for your own protection.
I know.
Based on
I know
where you are. So, okay, yeah. I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for joining us on this very special DigiPride edition of the Gaming Podcast Live. Now we'll be back in another 2 weeks with another Gaming Podcast Live DigiPride special. Hopefully you can join us then.
Absolutely, and thank you everyone for coming in. If you are new here, thank you. Please hit that follow button. As Mia said, we go live every 2 weeks. We have some fantastic stuff, extra stuff coming up as well in that meantime, right here on twitch.tv/gamingmag. To do with DigiPride, some fantastic stream panels. Stream panels with the Stream Queens. A fantastic. Don't forget about more information to follow on our fantastic Trans Fall Guys tourney that's coming up. And this Friday, exactly. Yes, exactly. And if you want to listen to any of these episodes, the Game Podcast Live is available on all good podcast platforms.
Yep, that it is. And if you're listening on those platforms and you want to watch the recordings live, it's a bit of a message you had this bit. Head on over to twitch.tv/gamingmag and hit the follow button. But that's it for this week. In the meantime, do not forget to keep reading Gaming Magazine, and we will see you all soon. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh.